Your future successful self already exists, not as a dream, not as a fantasy, as a real neurologically encoded version of you living in your brain right now, and your brain treats it like a complete stranger. That's not a motivational metaphor, that's neuroscience. And once you understand what's actually happening inside your head, you'll never look at your goals the same way again. Think about someone you haven't seen in 10 years, a childhood friend, a cousin, someone who used to be close. Now imagine they walk up to you on the street. There's a moment, just a second, where your brain doesn't fully recognize them. They look familiar, but they feel like a stranger. That's exactly what your brain does with your future self. Psychologists call this temporal self-appraisal. The further away a version of you is in time, the less your brain treats it as you. It gets filed under other people. And here's why that destroys your ability to change. When your brain sees your future self as a stranger, it stops caring about what happens to that stranger. You wouldn't sacrifice your Saturday for someone you don't know, so your brain won't sacrifice Netflix tonight for a future you that feels like a stranger. This is why you keep saying, "I'll start Monday." Monday you feels like someone else's problem. This isn't weakness, this isn't lack of discipline. This is your brain doing exactly what evolution designed it to do: prioritize the present, ignore the abstract. The problem is, your future self isn't abstract. It's real, and it's waiting. In 2009, researchers at Stanford put people in an MRI scanner and showed them photos of themselves, photos of strangers, and photos of their future self. The results were disturbing. When people looked at their current self, the self regions of the brain lit up. When they looked at strangers, different regions activated, the ones we use for thinking about other people. When they looked at their future self, the brain responded exactly like it did for strangers. Your future self, treated like a stranger by your own brain. The lead researcher, Dr. Hal Hirschfield, followed this up with behavioral studies. People who had stronger neural overlap between present self and future self, meaning their brain treated future them more like current them, made dramatically better long-term decisions. They saved more money, they exercised more consistently, they were less likely to procrastinate. The ones with low overlap, they spent more, moved less, and avoided hard tasks. Here's what's wild. It wasn't about intelligence, it wasn't about willpower. It was purely about how connected they felt to their future self. That connection is trainable. There's another layer to this, and it's darker. Your brain doesn't just treat future you as a stranger, it actively uses a cognitive bias called temporal discounting to devalue everything your future self cares about. Temporal discounting means rewards in the future feel smaller than rewards right now, even if the future reward is objectively bigger. Classic experiment. Researchers ask people, "Do you want $50 today or $100 in 6 months?" Most people take the $50 today. That's irrational by any financial logic. But the brain doesn't run on financial logic. It runs on survival logic. And survival logic says, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Now apply this to your life. Working out today, painful, immediate. A healthy body in 6 months, abstract, devalued. Starting your project today, uncomfortable, immediate. Achieving your goal in a year feels distant, almost unreal. So your brain keeps choosing the $50 every single day. And every time you choose comfort now over growth later, you're not being lazy. You're being perfectly, efficiently irrational in exactly the way evolution built you to be. The question isn't how to fight this. The question is how to rewire it. Here's what actually works. 3 techniques, backed by the same research. Technique 1, future self-journaling. Every morning, 5 minutes. You write as your future self, not to your future self, as your future self. Not, "Dear future me, I hope you." That's the stranger talking to a stranger. Instead, it's 2 years from now. I woke up this morning and you describe your life in first person, present tense, as if it's already real. This forces your brain to simulate future you as present you. The neural overlap increases. The stranger becomes familiar. The familiar becomes worth protecting. Dr. Hirschfield's research showed that just a few weeks of this practice measurably changed people's long-term decision-making without any other intervention. Technique 2. The photo bridge. Take a photo of yourself today. Use an age progression app to show yourself in 10 to 20 years. Look at it daily, not as a warning, but as a person you're responsible for. In Hirschfield's studies, people who were shown aged versions of themselves allocated significantly more money to retirement savings immediately after seeing the image. Your brain responds to faces. Give future you a face. Technique 3. The one decision filter. Before any decision, ask yourself one question. Is this something my future self will thank me for or apologize for? Not a lecture, not a guilt trip, just a 1-second redirect that brings future you into the room. Because once future you is in the room, once they stop being a stranger, your brain starts making different choices, not perfect choices, but different ones, better ones. Here's the thing nobody tells you about personal growth. You don't fail because you're weak. You don't quit because you don't care. You disconnect because your brain literally cannot see who you're becoming. The version of you that already made it, that wakes up proud, that built something real, that became someone worth becoming, that version exists right now as a neural pattern inside your head. Your only job is to make it less of a stranger. Start tonight, 5 minutes. Write as that version of you, not to them, as them. And watch how quickly your brain stops ignoring the person you're becoming. If this hit differently than the usual motivation content, that's because it is different. Subscribe. Next video is going to break down exactly why your brain quits after day 3, and it has nothing to do with discipline. See you there.